If you haven't caught this already, yeah, I'm definitely wearing the Detective Pikachu hat, official license too. Um, but yeah, I mean, it even has the name tag and everything, which does appear in the here. I'll just flip this over. I don't know if the camera can see that, but it has the name tag that Pikachu shows during the film to provide a clue, sort of like. But anyway, what is up, everyone? Sean here, and welcome to my movie review with Pokemon Detective Pikachu, the live-action film featuring Pokemon finally in theaters. This is on the second week as we record this. It came out around the 3rd of May in Japan, anyway, which is weird. And then it came out May 10th, a week later, here in the US. And yeah, so I was able to catch it on a Friday night and with my friends and stuff like that, Danny and Adam. And um, it was actually surprising, like the experience itself, because you would think that a film like this would bring in a lot of kids, but the majority of the audience that we were part of was people around our age. Like, um, I guess I realized that a lot of people around my age were waiting for something like this, for a live action Pokemon film. I mean, we've all dreamt about Pokemon being real and stuff like that at one point, right? We all come from at least one generation of Pokemon, right? Like, um, but I believe that the audience that I was a part of with, that during that show was from Generation 1. I grew up in Generation 1 with Red and Blue. Came out around 95 or not around 97-ish in the US anyway. And, it was a big hit. It was an absolute phenomenon on the Game Boy. That monster JRPG that you can, capture monsters and make them your companions and fight them for with you alongside them against one another. And, you compete to be the best trainer there is in the region. And now, who'd have thought that, we've come so far to the point where a live action film like this comes to theaters with a major production behind it, thanks to Legendary Films, and it's directed by Rob Letterman. Not that I know him by name or anything like that. If I look this up real quick, I believe he directed his first direction was Monsters vs. Aliens, or he's known for Monsters vs. Aliens and Shark Tale. Oh boy. But fortunately, it all just worked out, I guess. Um, Detective Pikachu is a success, and in box office so far, it already made over its budget on its opening weekend and stuff. And as I record this, we are in the second week, and it's actually really, really surprising to see, that it turned out like this. And for the most part, I enjoyed it. I was taken back by how good it turned out, and pretty much I think the cliff notes of my thoughts on this whole movie was I enjoyed it more than I should have, I guess. I mean, this is a video game movie. You know, Video game movies are notorious for being really bad because people just don't know how to handle the source material really well. But I think this is a turning point. I think. But I can definitely say that this is definitely the first video game movie that is good. I can definitely say, and I'm really glad because this is Pokemon of all things. That is a really cool thing to say, like the first good Pokemon, or the first video game movie is Pokemon. Like you really can't say that out of irony, I think, in my opinion. It's not perfect by any means. It's not gonna blow your mind by any stretch of imagination. But it is a spectacle to look at. One really cool thing, or pretty much the best part, is the Pokemon. They really nailed down the look of the Pokemon, the charm of the Pokemon, just everything. You can see the work and heart and effort put into these Pokemon, trying to blend real life stuff, but trying to retain that same look that they have from the video game slash anime. It's just really cool to see that, on the big screen, and I was just I was really happy with it, with the results for the most part. There are some weird things about it, like Jigglypuff. I never really thought that Jigglypuff would be that fluffy. I know, we based off of that from the anime, which is not known to bring out realistic textures and anything like that. They just kind of they do very simplistic but stylish sort of renderings of textures, and the real textures, the realistic part of the textures is in the background with the painting and stuff. Um, so you have to understand that. So yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I would have imagined with Jigglypuff having like a more of a plushy sort of texture. Like as if you're hugging your plush Pokemon doll, pretty much. That's how I would imagine how would it feel like to hug Jigglypuff. Same with Pikachu. I thought Pikachu would have like this sort of similar plush material, like it does have on these ears right here of this Detective Pikachu hat I'm wearing. But yeah, it is what it is. That's their take on the Pokemon, and it's never gonna reach to that point where everyone is happy. Like there's always people that are gonna be complaining about it, blah blah blah. But back to the Pokemon, they definitely nailed it down. They didn't go with, I will say this much, they didn't go with a very cheesy thing from Pokemon the anime that they say their names as their like cries or whatever, like no, like Bulbasaur don't say Bulbasaur or anything like that from the anime. It's they are completely like they have their own unique sounds and stuff, which is cool, and that's like a more realistic take on Pokemon anyway, and that's how it was in the game anyway. They always make these like 8-bit sounds and stuff like that from that video game, and that's I guess that's like it's just an observation that I made definitely from the movie. But they really blend really well in the background. They did a really good job. Like I said, like rendering these Pokemon out, make them realistic, but without destroying their signature look from each Pokemon for the most part, and still make them pretty believable in a real life setting. Meanwhile, the city itself was really neat to see. No one really talks about the the city itself, the actual world itself, and for the most part, I really liked it. It's really cool. It's Rhyme City, which is a brand new city for the movie anyway. I don't know if Rhyme City is a thing from Detective Pikachu, the game. That's where they got the actual source material from. But nonetheless, though, they do make references of other regions and stuff, such as Sinnoh and Kanto, somewhere in the film. I mean, Sinnoh was referenced in the poster of the, big battle or whatever, and then Kanto is definitely somewhere in the even early in the beginning, I believe, or somewhere in the film. I'll say that. So it is cool to hear things like that. They definitely, went that far to, really bring in a lot of references to, really, bring Pokemon into a film like this with a major production setting. Legendary films of all things. So, it's really funny to think that, because you see Ken Watanabe in there from Godzilla, like probably straight from Godzilla. Like, hey, can we borrow you for a minute for Pokemon? Since we're in the same studio, so we need we need some Japanese person to play this role or something. I don't know. I thought it was really funny. I think that was pretty much kind of what happened, but I'm sure it went in a kind of a different way. But anyway. It's funny to see Ken Watanabe in there. He did what he could, and it's not really much to say about his role. as I think he was a police chief or something, or he was, just an acquaintance of Harry Goodwin or Goodman, excuse me. Goodwin is my friend's last name. Anyway, Harry Goodman went missing, and the protagonist, Tim Goodman, played by Justin Smith, is out to look for him pretty much after finding out he went missing, and he's just trying to trying to find his dad, just like Detective Pikachu the game on the 3DS. Meanwhile, he meets up with Detective Pikachu, or just Pikachu, I think, but we all like to call him Detective Pikachu because he's got the hat. And he is voiced by Ryan Reynolds of all people. I thought it was a very weird choice at first, but over time, um, I think I've gotten used to it. And overall, it came out great. I mean, he stole the show. I really like Detective Pikachu as a character. Very lovable. Just really said he actually made me laugh a lot of times too. I know the humor is like very simple and all, but I laughed at it because it's just coming from this little Pikachu. Like, it's adorable, but saying these things, and you kind of do imagine a little bit of Deadpool behind that voice, so it's like it's a little more funny that way. But I understand if people kind of don't buy the humor in this film, but you know, I don't judgment. I wouldn't judge them on that, but I find it funny. It was getting me some giggles, so it worked for me at least at that time. Um, so yeah, Detective Pikachu was great. He stole the show, obviously. Um, Tim Goodman is, yeah, more than tolerable, I would say. Justin Smith did what he could with the material given to him, and it definitely was tolerable. I couldn't say he was annoying or anything like that. Lucy Stevens, not even, I wasn't annoyed by her either. She's supposed to be a news reporter who helps him out later on, and she had this noir, like a film noir kind of reporter character going on early in the film, but then later on kind of changes to something else. And I did notice that a lot of people kind of pointed that out, and I definitely thought about that too. I'm like, something is different about her. It's like a really weird thing. Like, I guess she just couldn't keep up with that same energy anymore or something. Obviously, she still had the ambitions of a reporter, but she just didn't have that same, like, just aura of that film noir, um, film or news reporter, I should say. But later on, I mean, or not later on, excuse me. I'm not trying to like spoil the story or anything like that. I will spoil the story later on in the spoilers section. There's not really much to spoil about, but there are some things I'd like to talk about that would spoil the film. But anyway, the one of the biggest things that could be a negative, but okay, it is a negative, but the story is super straightforward. It felt very telegraphed, like it just like a lot of things felt like there was that a lot of things fell to their lap. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't really have to search for it. There was no, like, it lacked that detective feeling. Unfortunately, even though the detective, word is in the name of the film, and so I was expecting some detective work going on, but I guess they really wanted to make the story very safe or very simple for the kids to watch, but I think they had no idea that a lot of adults would want to go watch this. So that's why they just wanted to take the safe route. But at least they did everything else right. They got the charm of the Pokemon right. They were adorable. It was cute. It was cool for certain Pokemon to see. And the world itself was really cool. And it's just overall, I mean, without spoiling the story, overall, I definitely enjoyed it. And as a Pokemon fan, I definitely enjoyed it. So I'm really glad to say that this is a first video game movie that's good, and this is awesome because it's Pokemon of all things. Now people have their own little debate, I guess. I mean, maybe Mortal Kombat was good, but it's like very cheesy. That didn't age well with a lot of people anyway. And you watch it because it's very cheesy. You know it's bad, but it's at least it's entertaining. But you have to very much take it with a grain of salt, and gotta embrace yourself with the cheese. Now, while yes, this is a pretty cheesy film here too. Um, the charm and everything, like it just felt genuine. It didn't feel like it wasn't cheesy in the bad way. It was cheesy in the good way. I mean, whatever cheese that it had in the film, it was good. I enjoyed pretty much most of the scenes. There were some nitpicks that I would like to, go into in the spoiler section, but for the most part, overall, just to summarize everything, it, like I said, it captures the charm. It's pretty true to the material that it's conveying. They didn't really destroy any of the looks or anything of any Pokemon by any means. A lot of Pokemon look like the Pokemon, but with real textures. That's pretty much how it should be. Unlike Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog not only has all these weird things going on with him with like the human proportions, the legs, no gloves or anything like that. His eyes are just really weird. Like it just doesn't retain the. It doesn't really do a good job of retaining that same look that Sonic has. But meanwhile, here this is the opposite. All the Pokemon CGI was very well done. It conveyed the charm of the Pokemon. That's the important bit that was done really well. Um, and the human characters were, they're tolerable for the most part. Pretty straightforward, like I said, with the story. Very telegraphed, unfortunately, but I think, maybe now that they figured out who's watching these films, they'll fix it in the next one. They'll actually add some, actual things that adults would like to see. Of course, without making it PG, or rated R, obviously, but things that adults would like more. I don't know. Yeah, because you have to remember that Pokemon, it's a lot of people are grown-ups. A lot of the fans are grown-ups. We all come from the 90s, and a lot, or a lot of people who play these games are from are kids of the 90s, and of course some adults around that time were playing it too, so they're even older than us, and they're gonna watch this film too and probably hopefully like it. But it is understandable to see if they find some things very telegraphed as well. I don't know. All right. Anyway, before I go out, I veer off to somewhere else. I would like to give it a score. So yeah, overall, it's a good film. I would highly recommend it for all Pokemon fans. It's got very obvious faults, but it's definitely nothing too serious about those faults or anything like that. It still has a decent story. It's just predictable, but the Pokemon here are just so well done. You will adore them, and it's just really cool to see them in real life and done really well. You'll feel the effort and the heart that they put into these films, and it felt like the staff, the production staff, really know what they were doing with the material. They were actually, it felt like they were actually fans of the actual material. And there were some attempts that have been done in the past with fan films of live action Pokemon, and now we get to see it on the big screen, with a major production behind it, which is really cool, and it's done well. So again, this is the first video game movie done well, or at least very decent, and with that, I am happy to say that I'll be giving this a good 7 out of 10. At first, when I came out of that theater, it was an 8 out of 10, but the important bits could definitely use improvement, and I wish some of that energy with that certain actor with Lucy Stevens was able to maintain that same energy And also the story, it's very predictable, very, kind of like set. Like it's, like I said, telegraphed. A lot of things fell into their lap. It's like, okay, but a lot the moments were good, and just everything else was good. I really liked it. So I would love to see more of this, and hopefully we do see a film based off of the second game, which apparently I totally forgot about. That's in Japan. There's a second Detective Pikachu game, so they'll more likely base it around that whenever they're ready to make another film. Otherwise, I'd love to see something different, maybe another original story or an actual just original story period with a lot of the, stuff from, games like Red and Gold and Ruby and Sapphire and stuff like that, kind of mishmash together, sort of like as references. But anyway, I love to just want to see more Pokemon, you know what I mean? And obviously, someone like me would be very much happy to see the next Pokemon film. So, again, 7 out of 10. Highly recommend it to all the video game fans anyway. I think if you guys know at least somewhat about Pokemon, then you can still watch it. It's pretty original as a movie itself anyway, so you won't be too lost. And for those who are hardcore fans of Pokemon, definitely highly recommend it if you haven't seen already. And with that, I will go into the spoiler section now. Probably not much to it, but there are some things I want to discuss about. So we'll be right back. Thank you guys so much for watching the non-spoiler section. For those who want to stick around for the spoiler section, we'll be going there shortly. So be right back. This channel is sponsored by Loot Crate, the monthly subscription box that's always filled with surprises for gamers and geeks alike. If you're interested, go to lootcrate.com/Hawke525, and after choosing your crate, type in promo code Hawke525 for a 10% discount. The link and promo code will be in the description box below. Thanks guys, and hope you enjoy the show. Alright, welcome to the spoiler section of Pokemon Detective Pikachu. There are some things I wanted to discuss about. Some points in the story and stuff. And there is one thing I wanted to, point out. And it's just, I don't know, it was confusing me, but I don't know if I should mention it now or later because it happened in the beginning, sort of. But it's something it retain, or it comes from the end of the story, but I don't know, it's a little confusing. But I do want to say this at least. My boy Gengar made it into the film and had a pretty good amount of screen time too. Like, I just thought he's gonna be like a background character or something. But no, I mean you get to see him a pretty good amount. Like he was in a battle in the underground arena against Blastoise, which is really cool. You get to see Blastoise too, fighting, and I kind of wish it was Gengar and what was it, Nidorino, because that's like a very old reference from Red and Blue. If you watch the introduction or opening of the game, you see Nidorino and Gengar just kind of shuffling back and forth, and then one of the Pokemon attack each other. That would have been a nice little reference to that. Obviously, we all know who's going to win that battle. And, yeah, it would have been Gengar. But he was battling against Blastoise. And it was kind of it was cool to see. You get to see him using Double Team. And then Blastoise using, like, Hydro Pump and stuff. And by the end of that battle, hey, Gengar won. Because, I don't know. Just because, I don't know. I feel like they could have done a little better with a smile. That's my only complaint about Gengar. I mean, I'm very picky with the smile. I actually drew this myself, so yeah, this is a custom shirt. But anyway, but overall, I can't complain. Gengar actually made it into the story somehow, and he's there. My boy, my favorite Pokemon made it in there. There could have been other Pokemon that could have made a really cool appearance, like Onix or something. And Golem and Geodude or something. I don't know. A lot of the rock Pokemon didn't make it in there, unfortunately. But otherwise, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of Pokemon, so it's just really hard to make them all appear without like making it super overwhelming by any means. Um, but like I said, at least the Pokemon that made their appearance, like it's just absolutely, absolutely charming. Machamp, at the traffic, he's like the traffic signaler, and Snorlax just kind of just laying there in the road, just being Snorlax. You see that in the trailer, but um, man, yeah. So anyway, Mewtwo makes an appearance. I mean, Mewtwo kind of is the bad guy. Uh, we all see him in the trailer, but yeah, they try to paint him as the bad guy at first, but later on, someone else is the bad guy. Um, yeah, I'm trying to like figure it out how to order this, but I just want to like jump to this point, but I gotta like I don't know. Anyway, I know I'm like rambling and stuff like that, but man, there's quite a bit of things to talk about with the spoilers. Um, there was one part I do want to complain about, which is the whole thing with the Torterra Garden. Um, at first it takes place in a lab where they find more clues there, and it's just you know they find the Torterra Garden. They kind of pass by it, and they kind of find out that they're trying to experiment. The scientists were trying to experiment with um the sizes of these Pokemon. They want to make giant Pokemon or something just to, you know, yeah, I don't know, just because science or something. Um, I guess science achievement, I guess, like, or a next step into evolution sort of thing. So yeah, the Torterra make their appearance, and after they find the clues, but get interrupted by these Greninja that the evil scientists or the evil like corporate leader. I forget his name, but he's like a son of the man who created the whole city himself. He was a bad guy too, as well, in a way. And he unleashed the Greninja that were under some sort of control, and they tried to drive them out or try to capture them, and then they were driven out, and they forced um, Tim and Lucy, along with Psyduck and Pikachu, um, to go hit, just get out of the lab and go outside and stuff. And then there's this whole long scene of after Psyduck just explodes with his psychic powers, and because there's a whole thing with Psyduck being like this bomb when he's super stressed out, and you don't want to mess with him. And then after Psyduck does his thing, the Greninja are gone, but all of a sudden the land just starts to shift, and everything just goes upside down or right side up, whatever. Like, just things go crazy. Like something like the land itself like cracks and splits, and start to juggle around, and the protagonists like start try to like survive and stuff, and not to fall. And then it was really a long scene, and I think, in my opinion, it was a little too long for what it was. I felt like they could have cut out some of the things or make it a little condensed or something. Well, that's just me. But later on, that's all caused by the Torterras, because those are the Torterras that they were experimented on, and they were super big, and so they were on the Torterras this whole time. So I really thought that it was going to be like giant Onyx or something. That would have been really cool. But unfortunately, no. There was no like Onyx or Steelix or anything like that. It was just more Torterras. So there you go. I mean, we've already made the model, so just make them bigger, I guess. Maybe that's not how it works, but they probably didn't want to take more time to like make Onyx really realistic or something, along with Steelix. And all the other rock Pokemon that could have been awesome in this film, but not so much. But it was interesting that yeah, it is Torterra, but it took a little too long to get there, in my opinion. And there was that part where like there was this like rock that looked giant to Pikachu, but it was just a little pebble like hit his head or something. Like and uh, so Pikachu got hit, and Tim rescues him from the water and stuff. And later on, that was like there was that was a point where Pikachu started to like he was like dying because he got hurt and whatever. Probably, I think the rock wasn't the only fatal part. It was just probably the shock of like hitting the water and like probably tossed around, and like it's a little animal, so they're pretty frail in real life if you're not careful with them. So I guess it makes sense that Pikachu is in that state. It was just funny of how it kind of happened. It's like, oh my god, this big ass rock coming down, but it's just because Pikachu is a small thing. To him, it looked big, but if you look at reality, it was just like a pebble, like just hit on his like, oh. So that was kind of funny, but at the same time, it was like really confusing. Like I thought it was just like a weird edit that they did, but yeah, that's supposed to be like this like giant rock that or a rock that looked giant to Pikachu, but in reality, it was just like at best the size of a rock or something to a human. I mean, we don't know. It could be a really dense rock or something. I don't know. So yeah, that and like the whole like tossing around in the water and all that stuff, caused Pikachu to be in a pretty like a near death sort of state. And there was a part with where one Bulbasaur came into the scene, and Tim, tried to communicate to it. Obviously, doesn't understand him because humans and Pokemon can't really understand each other just yet, at least. But if you're connected with them, or they feel your words, they feel your communication. So that somehow came through, even though they're not really connected with each other. Because I think they referenced that at early in the film, that if you have a partner Pokemon, they'll understand you over time through feelings of your words rather than the actual words themselves. But and yet the wild Pokemon with Bulbasaur here especially somehow understood Tim's words. Somehow they the feelings of Tim's words anyway. Probably saw the dying Pikachu and understood, gathering from what it appeared to be. Probably that Bulbasaur was like, all right, he needs help with his Pikachu, so I'm gonna call my homies and we'll come out and lead the way and stuff like that. It's really funny because all these Bulbasaur come out. It's really cute. They make all these like really cute sounds, and none of the Bulbasaur kind of thing. They all make that adorable sounds. They're very very adorable. With movement and everything. And they lead Tim with Pikachu to the healing Pokemon, while like kind of not cock blocking, but blocking Lucy Stevens because for reasons I guess. And then Lucy's like, oh, I'm gonna I'll meet you back at the car. And then later on they lead to another Bulbasaur and another Pokemon. I forget its name, but it's like one of those like flowery kind of Pokemon. Lead to the healing Pokemon, and it turned out that it was Mewtwo who appeared early in the film. He painted as the villain, but you come to realize that Mewtwo isn't the villain. Whoop-de-doo. And then heals Pikachu. I think restored its memory somehow, I think. But eventually they come to learn after Pikachu remembers that he hurt he somehow hurt Harry or something. He hurt someone, and then Pikachu felt like, oh, he's a threat to people. He's like, no, stay away from me, Tim. And so Tim and Pikachu were separated at one point. I think I get well now I remember kind of Pikachu felt that it was his fault for Harry's death, and then or disappearance at least. And then later on, when Tim tries to take Pikachu back, Pikachu shocked him somehow because it started to remember its powers, and which is to shock people and stuff with electricity. And so Pikachu's like, all right, now you gotta stay away from me. I'm gonna hurt you too. So Pikachu and Tim were separated, and then Pikachu is somehow back at where the whole scene with Harry, Tim's father, happened with the whole car explosion sort of thing, and Pikachu starts to remember stuff more and more, and so he remembers the car flip, and the car flip was caused by Greninja rather than Mewtwo, because the old man, I forget his name, the old man showed Tim that Mewtwo was the one who caused the accident with Harry, or the whole car flip and stuff, and so he tried to paint him as the villain. And so they were pretty much deceived by the old man, and it turns out the old man is the real villain because he's dying. He has a degenerative disease or terminal disease, and he's confined to a wheelchair. And he had the whole thing with oh, I wanted to evolve and stuff like that, and try to cover it up. That was for himself, with the fact that, oh yeah, people in Pokemon can harmonize and live together in peace, and there's no battles or anything like that in that city. There, with only the underground battles, which is apparently illegal there, in that city. So that's why they have it underground. And now, so yeah, you kind of pretty much learn the basics of the plot, and then now, you've come to learn that the old man wants to merge himself with Mewtwo to be the ultimate, being or whatever, because Mewtwo has the power to, transfer a human soul or whatever to a Pokemon or something like that. And, well, somehow was able to do that with a, mind device sort of thing, and the purple gas, which is the R gas or whatever, which was found earlier. And of course, the old man was successful. He was able to transfer himself to Mewtwo. And that whole thing with Mewtwo, was kind of weird. The way he was talking, now with the human lip syncing and stuff like that. Some of the expressions on Mewtwo were kind of weird, but yeah, he kind of turned evil. So that's why I guess they wanted to give off that look, ugh. So, he had planned a parade with the whole city, and those balloons were filled with the purple gas. And the purple gas came from Mewtwo, I guess, when they put him in a captive state, and he somehow tried to he has some power surges here and there, and then the power surge and from Mewtwo and this liquid thing combined into the serum called something with R, it was just called R, I guess. They just named it R. So earlier I thought Team Rocket was gonna make it in there somehow, but I guess not. That was I guess another con that Team Rocket never made it in there. And anyway, they had the gas from Mewtwo that they made with Mewtwo's powers and their own formula, and this gas puts Pokemon to a wild state. And apparently, that's the only state or that's the only time when you can transfer their souls, or the human souls, into the Pokemon. So he does that, and the trainers and their partner Pokemon kind of pretty much merge together, while leaving the human bodies are left behind, and they're they're Pokemon now, and you can't understand them, but Harry, or not Harry, Tim realizes that that because he goes back to the old man and tries to explain what happened, and then um of course the old man reveals his true colors and everything, and so that's how he found out, and then Pikachu tried to get back, and then um all this chaos was happening, I guess, and so after Tim finds himself in trouble with the old man, and he pretty much transfers his mind to Mewtwo, and the whole plot takes place. Pikachu makes it back and finds him at Chaos, and then eventually runs into the Mewtwo, tries to stop him, and it was a pretty cool sequence. I love the Volt Tackle thing, really, really cool. Pretty much Volt Tackled straight into Mewtwo and give him a good hit and stuff, and um what was it? There was a fight with Tim and his son, because the son turned out to be Miss Norman, who made an appearance early in the film, who was supposed to be kind of like a bodyguard slash kind of right hand person of the old man. Let me try to find a name. Howard, I believe. Yeah, Howard. There you go. Howard was using Miss Norman because Miss Norman is actually a Ditto. I think Ditto is his son's Pokemon, I think. And his son was locked up. His son Roger was locked up in like a closet or something. I don't know. It's some sort of hidden confinement. And he popped out later on, and you see him tied up and stuff. So he they tried to paint him as like the bad guy, but no, it was his own father, because he was the one who wanted to evolve because of his disease and stuff. So I guess, yeah, it made all sense. I mean, I kind of saw that coming too. The way like he was like talking to Tim earlier, like the way they like had the lighting and everything was just really weird. Like I'm like, is he the villain? I thought, yeah, I had that in the back of my mind. I'm like, he'll probably be the villain later on. Like he's like this innocent old man, ooh. And of course, yeah, they'll turn him around as the villain. Yeah. Anyway, so eventually, yeah, I mean, Miss Norman is Ditto, and you see the eyes, and oh my god, the eyes are so creepy. But it's how it is with Ditto. Ditto can't completely transform all the way because of the eyes. And man, it really actually reminded me of like James and the Giant Peach. And that part isn't creepy, but it's just like especially when Ditto transformed into a Lucy, and had the beady eyes. I'm like, whoa, it's so creepy. And people were like reeling back, at that part. I'm like, whoa, like, so gross and creepy and stuff. But yeah, so I had to get used to that while that was happening. But yeah, you gotta remember it's Ditto, and that part is definitely for the people who are fans of the show and stuff, and for those who know Ditto anyway. And yeah, but anyway, Tim stops Ditto with the gas and everything, kind of like he goes haywire and just goes poo poo on the floor, I guess. Like I don't know, it just turns into like just a puddle of Ditto slime, I guess. I don't know. I don't think it was dead or anything. It was just kind of just unconscious, or I guess it just couldn't take it anymore. I don't know. I think it was also genetically modified or something in the lab. I think they said that at one point during that fight. But eventually, once Ditto was defeated, Howard was defenseless. He's just sitting there with the mind crown thing, and Tim took it off. And so now Mewtwo is free, and then there's a part with like Pikachu almost falling to the ground, but Mewtwo saves him somehow, and then, or not somehow, but like, yeah, he saves him with his psychic powers, and then restores everything. Yay, all is well. And then, you know, and at the end, they come to find out, thanks to Mewtwo projecting, you know, the actual memory of what happened with Harry, that Mewtwo somehow transferred the entire body of Pikachu into, or the entire body of Harry into Pikachu. So, the revelation or big twist is that the dad is Detective Pikachu. Woo! Oh man, wow. That one I didn't kind of expect, but yeah, I'm like, okay, all right, it all makes sense, I guess. But the whole body, because later on when Mewtwo does his own Thanos snap, I guess, um, as he was restoring the you know, the whole city, you get to see, you know, Pikachu with a dude, and then you hear the voice, you know, hey kid or whatever, and then you come to find out that that's not Pikachu talking anymore. It's the original Harry Goodman. But what does Harry Goodman look like? Ryan Reynolds. Like what? What? He has a beard and everything. Like he's trying to really try his darnest to like have that dad look to him. And I guess it makes sense, you know, because Justice Smith does have that like a lighter complexion. So they try to play him off as like, you know, half white, half black, sort of, or just mixed heritage sort of character. So his dad is white and his mom was probably black or something, or after either black or something, right? And either way, mixed heritage. And so yeah, Ryan Reynolds is his dad pretty much, and then Pikachu is back to Pikachu, so he's just saying Pika Pika, which is funny because Pikachu is the only one saying his name or its name. Um, but yeah, it's the same exact voice from the anime, so that's kind of cool. At least. So I guess Pikachu is the is the only one saying his own name. But oh well, I mean that's the sound we come to know anyway. So I definitely don't have a problem with that. But it's just funny to point that out. But anyways, his dad is back, and Tim is about to leave. Leave for the other city he was living in, because you know things happen, and he just separated himself, or Harry separated himself from Tim because he had to go work in Rhyme City as the detective. And so he didn't really grow up with his dad. He didn't really have a chance to like, you know, really get to, you know, really grow up with his dad, especially after his mom died somehow. Um Probably like an accident or something. And so yeah, they definitely drifted apart. They didn't really grow up together, but now Tim decides to, he was living with his grandma before, but or he lived with his grandmother, and now Tim has come to the decision of living with his dad, so he can get to catch up with them and do some assistant detective work. Yeah, that could be cool, right? So yeah, so happily ever after. Tim and his dad Harry go off to get some coffee because Harry loves coffee, and Pikachu, you know, is really happy that Tim is here to stay. Um, really is happy that he wants to be a detective or do detective work with Harry. And that is pretty much it. And then yeah, and then Lucy Stevens becomes a news anchor pretty much. So all is well for the main characters anyway. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Um, you know, Harry didn't want to be a Pokemon trainer at first because he just felt very discouraged after his mom died, and he just decided not to go and just felt the loss of motivation to be a Pokemon trainer. And then so I'm like going backwards. I really apologize for that, but yeah. Um, and yeah, so that's pretty much it. I think. I guess from this point on, it'll just be like random things to point out. One memory that came to mind right now is the scene where, um, Charizard. It was in the underground battle. After Charizard was defeated, I guess he wanted to go for more, and then Pikachu brought out the Magikarp that just splashed onto the floor because everyone's in chaos and everything, and then or everything is in chaos, with all the gas releasing from the underground person, I forget his name. He was the master of Charizard, so he had all this like R gas, and the R gas, was leaking, and everyone's Pokemon went wild and stuff, and so like, chaos was ensuing. The glass of Magikarp's tank broke, and Magikarp was just splashing around. And then, Pikachu tried to kick it to make it evolve or something, kind of like set it off, like a blind mine. And he's like, oh, that didn't go as planned or how I imagined in my head. But hey, it actually turned out how it went in his head. It evolved to Gyarados, and you get to see Gyarados in that tiny little ring. I'm like, whoa, it's actually kind of cool. And then almost killed Charizard with his water hydro pump or whatever. Right? But Charizard's tail is still lit somehow, and then they pretty much escaped. So yeah, and then there's that whole funny scene with Mr. Mime. That was really funny, or pretty funny. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, with all the set pieces and stuff. There was just a lot of Pokemon to talk that made their appearance. But there's still yet more Pokemon that have to make their appearance, like the rock. There's got to be more rock Pokemon. There's got to be Onyx that makes it in there. Venusaur didn't make an appearance. You see Trico. Not. I think Mudkip maybe made it in there, but not Torchic. I don't think Torchic was ever in there. But yeah, anyway, there's a lot of Pokemon that may be in there. There's about to be over 800 Pokemon, pretty much. It's just crazy. We've come so far to the point where a live action film is now made. It's good. It's made it over its budget. It's not perfect, but yeah, it's still more than decent, I would say. And I had a lot of fun watching it still, and very happy with it. And it doesn't change my rating by any means. 7 out of 10 still. So yeah, that's pretty much like all I gotta say or gotta talk about. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed by the lack of some of the dragon Pokemon. I don't know if maybe Garchomp made it in there. I don't know, like Garchomp, maybe Garchomp. No Dragonite, I don't think. Yeah, I don't know, man. Again, I know, I just want to talk more about it, sort of, with like what Pokemon should make it in there for the next movie. But I could go on. There's like a lot of Pokemon that still need to make an appearance. So anyway, that is pretty much like my spoiler talk about Detective Pikachu, the live action for 2019 with Ryan Reynolds. And oh wait, there's one more question I gotta talk about. Sorry about that. So, because Pikachu the talking Pikachu turned out to be Tim's dad. It made me think about, so what made Tim understood Pikachu in the first place? Was it the gas, or was it the fact that it's his father, so they're somehow connected with each other? So because of that connection, they understood each other, and so they're the only ones who can talk to each other. So, because like the gas was all over the place with the whole underground. So did they start to understand each other's their own Pokemon too? Probably not. So I guess the gas was just to throw off, like, oh, the gas was what made him understood Pikachu. But I think what it is that the whole secret is that Pikachu is Harry's dad, and so that's how he understood him. So yeah, so that's why that they had that soul connection with each other, father and son, and they understood each other that way. And one thing I wanted to point out also, which is kind of a complaint, is that Tim does most of the talking with most of the humans and the Pokemon, and Pikachu himself barely does any talking, even though they had that line earlier, that exchange of dialogue earlier, that hey, you can understand humans, and then or you can talk to humans, and I can talk to Pokemon, and we talk to each other. We're perfect partners. But no, Pikachu never really talked to Pokemon at all, except for Psyduck. He understood Psyduck just fine, of course, but he only tried to talk to Mr. Mime, but Mr. Mime obviously is Mr. Mime, so he can't talk. He doesn't. He has to do all this like barrier stuff and all the actual mime stuff. So Tim had to take the wheel as to what kind of message he's trying to convey. So yeah, Pikachu didn't really get to do much outside of talking to Psyduck, the whole electricity thing, and talking to Tim. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, I mean, of course, saving him, and then Tim saving Pikachu and all that. But you never really get to see that much of actual detective work. A lot of things like fell onto their lap, and like I said, it felt really telegraphed. Like it didn't really. It just, it didn't feel like they figured it out and stuff like that. It's kind of just like there a lot of like stuff was given to them. It felt like, I don't know, but I think from this point on, hopefully they know what their audience is, who's watching it. So I hope they fine craft a story, at least make it more decent. Excuse me. And so at least throw in like better humor for next time. Also actual detective work for next time. But what's also gonna happen? Like like I said, I never played the actual Detective Pikachu games, so after the ending, and also in Pikachu or Detective Pikachu 2 or whatever it's called, does Pikachu is just a Pikachu? So you're just gonna hear Pika Pika the entire time during the second film, or is Ryan gonna somehow return to Detective Pikachu or as Detective Pikachu somehow? Makes me wonder about that, because I think the whole charm comes from the fact that Pikachu is talking. So we don't have a talking Pikachu anymore by the end of the film, and so what's going to happen in the second game or whatever, or what happens in the second game, and what's going to happen with the second film if they come out with that. But anyway, but I still look forward to more. This definitely leaves me in that wander, and it's still a film worth watching in my opinion. So anyway, that's definitely it for the spoiler talk from me when it comes to Pokemon Detective Pikachu. Thank you guys so much. If you have any comments related to Detective Pikachu, please leave me down below. Love to check them out. Don't forget to check out all the Twitter, Twitch, all the social media links, and also my Loot Crate and Into the M sponsorships. All that information is in the description below. Really appreciate you guys if you guys check that out. Also hit the like button, subscribe, you know the drill. Those are other ways to support the channel as well. Really, really appreciate the support if you guys are willing to take that time. But anyway, this has been my spoiler talk for Detective Pikachu, and then we were done with the whole movie review for Detective Pikachu. So anyway, really happy with it. I look forward to more. So I think the next one will be John Wick. I don't know if Danny will make it for that one, but I'll definitely try to do my best to talk about that one. But I will definitely talk about the Godzilla King of the Monsters film that's coming up. I can't wait to see that one. That's my next anticipated film. And so until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Sean out. Like a blind mind, and he's like, oh, that didn't go as planned or how I imagined in my head. But then it turned out, hey, it actually kind of turned out how it was in his head.